thing that is important in teams is being interdisciplinary. It's not required, but we really push that, and judges do look for that. So if you have all business majors or all engineering majors, you're going to want to mix it up and have people with different mindsets and different skills. So just something to keep in mind. And then obviously, if you need help, DifferenceMaker Central is located right downstairs. So you can come talk to me or have program manager, and we'll help you in any way possible. And tonight, I am very happy to introduce our two guest speakers. So we're going to have different guest speakers at each workshop to hopefully make it more fun. So I want to thank Professor Shortland. So he is a professor in Fine Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. He's also one of our DifferenceMaker faculty fellows this year, so that means that he helps promote DifferenceMaker and engage students. And then you also oversee the criminal justice program. What's the program you see?
Which one?
Which one? Okay. So which one do you oversee?
Well, I'm a criminal justice faculty, but I direct the centre.
Yes, the center.
Okay, yeah, I direct the centre for terrorism and security.
For terrorism and security. So our campus-wide DifferenceMaker team last year, he was actually the advisor for that team. And then we have Professor Brent. So he is a faculty member in the College of Health Sciences, and he's also a faculty fellow. And he has been very helpful in working with nursing students and health science students. So if you have any questions, these two faculty fellows specialize in certain areas, and then they're also our guest speakers for today. So thank you both. And with that, I'll pass it off to Brent first.
Cool. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out here. I appreciate it, especially in the snow and the bad weather that's going on right now. I'm originally from Texas, so anytime it snows, I think we're all sniffing. Moving to Massachusetts was quite a shock to me. So last time, if you attended this session, what you worked on was problem identification. If you're going to make a difference, if you're going to be a difference maker, then you need to be able to identify a problem. And if you can identify that problem, then you can start working on the opportunities, the value propositions, and the solution that goes along with it. So last time you worked on your problem identification, and you worked on your problem pitch. How do you tell someone that this is a problem? How do you convince them that this is something that needs to change in the world? You have to identify it and then give other people a reason to care about it. And so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to assess your opportunity. We're going to take this problem that you've identified and we're going to work to find where you can potentially integrate your solution into that problem. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use some data and some research, my two favorite things, to identify things like your competitors and to identify avenues in which you can intervene on that problem. We're not initially going to focus on solutions, we're just going to be working on that problem. And then afterwards, Dr. Shortland is then going to introduce the value proposition to you. So you're going to have a value proposition pitch. You need to show them that a solution to this problem is valuable and why it is valuable to them and why they should be invested in it. And then after that, we're going to wrap up and you'll have a chance to eat more food, drink more coffee, and get really excited. So let's get started. So, just a recap of identifying the problem. If you were here last time, you had to figure out what problem you wanted to solve. You needed to think about the world at large and identify a subset of the world or something going on in the world that would give you a chance to make a difference, give you a chance to solve something. But in order to do that, you needed to figure out who would be affected by that problem. If you have a problem and it's not affecting anything, it's really difficult to tell anyone that it is a problem. You need to find a group that is affected by that problem and then tell people that it is a problem, to explain to them. You need to identify how significant this problem is. You need to have some kind of metric, some kind of number that tells people that this is a serious problem, right? I have a problem. I have a really old pair of shoes. Who's affected by this? Me. What do I want to do? I want heated sidewalks, so when I walk down the sidewalks, they're dry and my feet don't get wet, right? But the problem with that is that it's not significant. This only impacts me. You don't care about my shoes. So it's not important for you to solve this problem, right? I identified a problem, but it wasn't of any utility to anyone else. So last time you worked on identifying important problems. You also need to identify what you know about this problem through your metrics, through your data, through your analysis, and then what you don't know about this problem. So what do you need to find out in order to come up with the opportunity to change or to make an impact on this problem? And in order to do that, you need to gather data and research the problem. You need to talk to people who are affected by your problem. Talk to people that are involved with the problem. Talk to competitors who are working on other solutions to your problem. Talk to people who don't know about the problem. Talk to everyone you can about this problem so you have multiple perspectives as to what is going on and what can potentially be done to intervene in this problem. And so to help you do this, you can fill out the DifferenceMaker Toolkit problem worksheet. You should have gotten one when you came in the door. If you did not, we can grab you one now. So if you would like one of these toolkit worksheets, just raise your hand and we'll bring one to you. That way, as we work through the session, you can make sure that you have notes on all of these things from the last session to kind of help you catch up and help you keep pace with what we're doing. So just let me know if you need one of those worksheets now. Everybody good? Everyone's got potatoes as well. The first thing we're going to do, since most of you attended the last session, is you are going to tell us a little bit about your problem. So you're going to give us a rocket pitch. You're going to get 1 minute to do this. So you've got to make sure that whatever you're going to tell us has to be concise. You have to get to what the problem is very quickly. You only get to select one person to do this. Each person should be able to do this, but you only get to pick one to present. You only get to do one sentence per bullet point below. The only thing that you get to do extra time on is for your introduction, for your name, your team, and your project name. So you're going to tell us 3 things. The first thing you're going to tell us is, what is your problem? Right? That is a crucial element. You have to be able to tell us what is the problem, what is going on, why should we be concerned, what is the problem, and then briefly your solution to solve it. It should be the tail end of that sentence. We're not focused on your solution yet. We need to build up data and analysis and have a reason to get to that solution. So just tell us briefly what your solution is, the last few words of that first sentence. Then who do you think is affected by your problem? You don't have to have data for this yet. You can speculate on this. But by the time you go to present this, you need to definitely have data to tell us who is affected by your problem. Again, the focus is on the problem, not on your solution yet. And then the third sentence you're going to tell us is how will your solution solve the problem. The focus is still on the problem. Your solution is the minor component of this sentence. We still just want you to identify the problem. The goal here is to get people concerned about the problem. If you can get them concerned, then that leads into why they should listen to the rest of your presentation to get to the part that has the solution. So your focus should be getting them concerned about your problem and not as focused on the solution to the problem. Does that make sense to everybody? So pick someone in your group, come up with your 3 sentences. We'll take a couple minutes to do that. You can write them down on your whiteboards, and then in just a minute, we'll have everyone present their 3 sentences rocket pitch about their problem. If you have questions about it, I'll be wandering around. I'm happy to help you.
Advocate, that's my project, looking to be the person who wasn't there for me. So basically, I've concluded the 3 biggest problems that I want to solve regarding mental illness. That's the stigma behind mental illness, the lack of awareness and availability of all the help that's out there, and of course the financial constraints that prevent people from fully recovering. And who is affected by it? Well, let's see, we got about 43.8 million American adults affected by mental illness. 20% of people are mentally ill, 4% of people are seriously mentally ill, 60% of them don't get treatment, 10.2 million people have a co-occurring mental health and addiction disorder. And every year, doesn't affect just them, $193 billion lost in earnings due to mental illness. So my solution is my business model that is currently in the works. What I want to do is, I'm working on an overall business model where I can use what I know to help people as much as I possibly can for free, and have my primary revenue sources be ad revenue, affiliate marketing, network marketing, any kinds of things that can help them save money and potentially earn money. So that's what I'm working on. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Give a round of applause. So did you see how we so seamlessly connected how it was a problem for the world at large to how it was a problem to individual people and how it affected just general revenue earnings for people? It was a great way to take something and show how it was a problem in general and then make it a problem to specific people that he may be pitching this to, right?
That last one was for people that care too much about it.
Yeah. And those are people who may potentially be able to invest in your problem and help you to solve that. You know, unfortunately, those are people who we occasionally have to try to deal with. All right, who wants to be next? Who is feeling adventurous? Beautiful. Come on up here. Just doing it from memory.
Yes, I don't have a physical aid.
present your problem in interpretive dance.
Yes.
All right, what's your name?
My name is Kevin Siri.
All right, here's the microphone for you.
I'm representing the class roots. So I think a lot of us have ran into this problem of starting a new semester, you're in classes that you don't already have like, friends in. Maybe you meet a couple new people in the first couple of weeks, but the moment that class is over, relationship with those people is over as well. So that holds people back from using those classmates as effective academic support tools. So a lot of times you're facing the same hurdles and difficulties with the classwork. So we want to solve that by having a platform in the form of an app that will have a space for each class where everyone can go and ask each other questions. It's automatically populated based on their school rosters.
All right. It's a nice time that everyone can relate back to. Everyone has had an opportunity to meet people, interact with them in class, and then move on, and you don't really get a chance to interact with them again in the future. So it gives you a great way to connect with that, especially with this audience. It makes the problem incredibly relevant. So having some numbers and some statistics to back up that very relevant feeling that you can give the room would be a fantastic example that you can work on in the future through some research and data analysis. Who wants to be next? All right. All right, Tyler, what's that?
Hey everybody, my name is Tyler Jason. So my idea is called When to Buy. This problem that I want to solve is that consumers don't know when to buy any product, that the price varies. So look at like airline tickets, for example. If you're trying to buy like around holiday times, you're going to be paying like 2 to 3 times more than you probably should. It applies to anything too, like cars or say sports games, anything like that. Who's affected by the problem? Definitely kind of tough to say the middle class, but people who are just everyday people, just trying to get by. So there's a large, I don't really know the facts, but there's definitely a large percentile of people that are trying to book vacations and pay too much. And how am I going to solve it? I'm going to solve it by just data mining and preparing a couple models to predict when prices are the lowest for certain goods.
It's a problem that any consumer can relate to, right? So as long as there's data to support it, we can show that there would be utility to everyone, any consumer could potentially relate to that problem, right? Just get it to a nice, concise explanation so that you can make anyone concerned about that as quickly as possible. Who wants to be next?
Hello, I'm Jen. I'm with the Advantage Group. So we're working on developing Advantage. And so people are dying from infected wounds in developing countries because it takes a long time from the point of injury to get to medical care. Even if they are in a hospital, oftentimes in these developing countries, they have to wait for a long period of time due to the number of people injured versus the ratio of doctors who are there. So millions of people are dying. They're low-income people who don't have a timely access to like the medical treatment that they need, and oftentimes like the medical facilities aren't equipped with the right things for them to help them protect their wounds. So we're creating a bandage that is accessible and can help protect the wound while they're being transported to the medical facility and waiting. So it's not something that would be covering the wound after they be treated, it would be before. That's what
All right, thank you. There's a very specific target group there. There's a very specific way to help them. It's very well thought out. Nosocomial infections are also very high, so already having a bandage on the wound helps prevent infections when you actually start receiving treatment as well. If you show up with an open wound, then that's just an access point for further opportunistic bacteria to then take up residence inside you, which is never good. You can clearly see I come from a biology background. Who wants to be next? Yeah. What's your name? Nick. All right. Tell us all about the problem you're going to solve for us, Nick.
but last responded by Brent. Basically, in the world, there's a big issue called water scarcity. Second point, it affects half the world over the U.S., at least half, most notably in Cape Town in the past recent months. And how our solution is going to try to solve this is that we're going to take the pre-existing water vapor in the air, condense it down, purify it, and then within the solution, additionally, try to solve some of the secondary issues that are derivatives of the water scarcity.
And lets people know about a resource that's being utilized. That's going to be great. That'll be a perfect way of an opportunity that most people may not have seen that we're going to discuss in just a minute. Who'd like to go next?
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. So the problem that I currently see is that 1/3 of adults currently struggle with time management, whether it be on a daily or weekly basis. And 4.4% of adults, at least diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, actually struggle with that even in adulthood. They didn't grow out of it. And also, people with those kinds of disorders are paid on average $4,300 less than their peers every year because of their problems with time management. So one thing that I'm proposing and hoping to do is create a platform or application that allows them to have a more comprehensive task list and calendar, along with more push notifications to remind them to keep working at their tasks, and hopefully that will help them be more productive.
There's a very specific problem there with a very specific target group, but the application can be applied to a much broader audience. So there's a lot of potential there beyond even just the target group of the problem you're trying to solve. Who'd like to go next? Come on up here. All right. Great.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Pesco. The problem I'm trying to solve is that people who have dietary restrictions are not able to efficiently find restaurants that cater to the need in their area. And people who are affected by this are diabetics, vegans, people who follow religious and cultural codes for diets, and then also like gluten-free. And then how I'm going to solve the solution would be to find a source that would allow people to efficiently find their resources that cater to their needs.
Wonderful. There's a very specific problem there with a very specific target audience that you can effectively have a change in, right? It gives us a very good point from which to jump on. Who's last? Come on up there.
So phones are being treated as disposable, being made and such, with planned obsolescence being a plague that's sweeping the telecom industry. So this is affecting, on a much larger scale, the globe as a whole, with lead, cadmium, chromium, and various other elements found in PCBs that are being destroyed whenever these phones are being thrown away. But to a more specific audience are lower income groups. Because now we're in a society where everyone usually has to have a smartphone because of how central it is to their life, to managing themselves and to being in contact with potential employers. So now when this $500 phone breaks, you're forced to buy another $500 plus phone. There's no other option there. So my solution is a fixable phone. So first of all, it's a more durable phone, using a titanium shell and some fancy O-ring stuff, more durable, and so it'll last longer just as a whole brick. But it's also entirely fixable, mechanically put together, so any off-the-street person can replace a component, and each component will be much, much cheaper than your average, than another component that you'd see in today's phones because of the lack of adhesive and the lack of speciality to it.
Everyone has a phone that gives them an enormous audience in which to show that this problem could help them and could be beneficial to them. You can make them relate to that problem. So I think everyone could get the same sense of what issues they had with their presentation. This is the first time you've done it. It's the first time you've done this pitch. So everyone needs to get more concise. Everyone needs to get directly to it and get everyone to their problem immediately, right? Work on these and do these pitches over and over again until you can do this in less than a minute and have someone engaged and interested in your problem and ready to listen to what you're going to do about it. So the rest of my time we're going to spend assessing opportunity. Now that everyone has told us what their problem is, we need to start. Oh, do we have someone? Yeah? Oh, we have time for us to go. Yeah, we can do it. Sure. Sorry about that. No worries. You're a deal table, so I did say. Right? So the problem is that I missed someone. There was an opportunity here.
So our problem, my name's Matt, I'm with Project Base, and so our original focus was on countering the spread of violent extremism through misinformation. We got the idea of the fact that a lot of people became radicalized just because they didn't know what terrorism was or what the whole idea aspect was, so they were vulnerable to that radicalization process. So now we kind of expanded to the whole idea of misinformation and unpersonalized information to an individual's knowledge base. Who is this targeted towards? 13 and up, basically anyone that has contact with the media. 1.69 million views on MSNBC, 1.42 million viewers for CNN, just a couple of quick numbers. And then how are we going to approach it with Project Base that provides and personalized approach to counter extremist education.
I just wanted to actually point out for everyone else in here, we have other funding opportunities and resources open to you other than just the idea challenge. I'm gonna move myself out of the way. So Project PACE actually won the Fine Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences Creative Venture Competition in the fall. So we have 3 college-based competitions. So they won $5,000 at that competition, and now they moved on to the idea challenge as one of the winners. And then Handy Bandage, you guys won the engineering prototyping competition, which is another competition we have in the fall. So just keep in mind that there's other resources to help you in addition to the idea challenge. So I just wanted to point out you both because you won previously. So thank you for being here.
Last but not least.
My name is Brianna. I'm representing the civic-minded community. Our project also started off with presenting the spread of radical extremism, but we took a different approach to it. We realized that if you get people involved within your community and work to better in that community, then people are more likely to not go towards radicalization because they have a place that they belong within their community rather than leaning towards a terrorist organization. People affected by radicalization are more likely at-risk youth or people that are going to lean towards a negative ideology. And our solution was to create our civic-minded community website, which has an interactive map. You can post civic-minded tasks that you're doing to help your community, and users can see all of those tasks. And our goal is to create a civic-minded club where it will spread to high schools and universities and inspire people to become more involved in their communities.
It identifies a problem that immediately lends itself to a very positive, very beneficial solution, not only for yourself personally, but for society at large. All right. So the rest of the time, we're going to take the problem that you've identified, and we're going to assess the opportunities that go along with it. So now that you've identified a problem, what exists that you can do about this problem? So I'm sure you have a lot of ideas about this problem, but ideas don't really solve any problems. Ideas just tell you about things that you may consider wanting to do, right? So ideas are a dime a dozen. They just kind of exist in your head. They're not anything that you've already tried or tested. You don't have any data or research to back up that your idea may actually have any kind of useful impact. You need to have something to help you to do that. So in order to go from an idea to an opportunity, you need to take this untested idea, this unrealized idea, and figure out what set of circumstances are going to allow you to create a product, create a solution, create a community center, create whatever it's going to take to make it possible to affect a change for your problem. You may have a lot of ideas, but they may not be a way to actually affect a change for the problem that you have. And so, now that you've discovered a problem, you need to talk to people about this problem, to get input about people who are experiencing the problem, people who are informed about the problem, and people who are not informed about the problem. That way, the research that you have on this will provide you with what may be the best avenue for you to affect a change in this problem. So you need to figure out where the opportunity is within the problem itself. So where is the opportunity for intervention within your problem? And the reason you need to do this is because you may have ideas that don't actually solve anything. So I have an idea, and my idea is that everything should taste like pickles, right? I think that when I eat stuff, it should taste like pickles. I feel like this is a problem. I haven't talked to anybody about this, but I'm pretty sure that everyone else wants things to taste like pickles. But I'm going to solve that for you right now, because I'm going to sell you pickle toothpaste, and you're going to love it. Because there's nothing that says refreshing and clean like brushing your teeth with a pickle, right? Who's on board for the pickle toothpaste?
Yes, I'm all right.
So 3 people out of like 50. I'm going to venture to guess that the people who actually make pickle toothpaste, it's a real thing. I actually found it. You can buy pickle toothpaste. That their sales aren't exactly skyrocketing, right? I don't think you're going to go find pickle toothpaste at Market Basket next week. I don't think this is going to be popping up. But this is the importance of finding the opportunity and doing research to figure out how you can affect that change. And so what we're looking here is for a gap. We need to figure out our opportunity gap. So identify the piece that's missing. What is happening with the problem that creates a need for something to change within it? So how do we address that gap? How do we address the need within the problem? Everyone told us about these problems, but where is the opportunity, where is the need to change it? What specifically has to be changed for this to fix your problem, to actually have an effect on your problem? So what new product are you going to introduce? Or what new way are you going to introduce to do something, right? You may have a product that solves the problem because it's novel and because it hasn't been used before. You may have just a new way to use existing things or a new way in which to tell people information that may change their mind about that problem that'll fix the problem itself, right? You don't have to have a physical solution for the problem necessarily. It may just be changing things socially, or it may just be introducing opportunities to people such as civic minded, right? You're giving them a chance to interact in a positive way with the culture as opposed to engaging in such a way that would be detrimental, right? You're not selling them anything physical. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical product that you're selling. It doesn't have to be driven by a desire to make and sell. Your difference maker idea, the problem that you're identifying, you don't have to make something that you're trying to turn a profit on. You can make something that's just meant to have an effect, that's meant to help alleviate that problem. And so it should be driven by your ability to fulfill a market need, by a pain, right? There will be pains and gains. So whatever the pain is within the market, that's where the opportunity is. You may be able to give them something that helps to alleviate that pain, or you may be able to give them something that allows them to turn that pain into a gain, right? And you need to think about this and have research on this so that the market will be interested in your solution. If you're not good at identifying the problem, then you won't be good at identifying where you can intervene, where the opportunity gap is that you can then have a product to alleviate pain, right? You have to have this two-way street. You've got to have the ability to fulfill the need for them, and they have to want that fulfilled. So, this is an actual patent. And in the patent, it's patent number blah, 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 blah. It is an apparatus that uses a toy by an animal, for example, a dog, to either fetch, carry, or chew. So who has seen one of these for sale? Really? Yeah. So, this person saw a problem. They needed a new toy for their pet. They needed something they could play fetch with. And so they patented this as their toy for fetch, right? They saw an opportunity and they then made this to fill that opportunity. What is wrong with this? Did they do research on who needs this? No, because who has this? everyone everywhere, right? There is no shortage of sticks around. So some research would have told them that they don't need an artificial stick because everyone gets sticks for free. There was no pain there, right? You're not giving anything to help people gain something. They're having to spend money on something that they already get for free. So this is a terribly good way of identifying an opportunity gap. So here is a good way to identify an opportunity gap. It's to get the numbers on this, to do interviews, to do research, to talk to people about the problem and see exactly where your opportunity gap is. To figure out how many people are affected by the problem. If it's very few people, then that means the people that you can market this to will be a very small group. You need to make sure that there are people affected by your problem. The number of people affected by not having enough sticks is almost none. So the market there is almost none for you to alleviate their no-stick problem. You need to know what ages they are, what their gender is, what their income, their profession, all their demographic information, so that whatever your solution is, wherever that opportunity gap is, you fill it appropriately. If your opportunity gap is for low-income families, you can't sell them something expensive to help alleviate their pain. It may be the perfect product, but it's not a product that they can obtain. It doesn't alleviate their pain. It doesn't give them any kind of gain, right? You need to know where they live, where they work. What is their education level? That way you market it appropriately to them so that they know that they have this problem that they'd like to have alleviated, and your proposed solution, the opportunity gap that you're attempting to fulfill, will be filled by your product, by whatever your solution is. And so here is two recipients with a prosthetic from a navel. They had to do research on who needed their product. They had to know specifics of their market. And in incredible detail, because to make prosthetics for these two young boys, they had to know the specifics of the actual prosthetics they needed to produce. It's a very specific market where they need very specific, detailed research, but it provides an enormous amount of gain. There was an opportunity gap, and they filled that opportunity gap for not only these, but many more, right? It requires a lot of research to be able to successfully fill that opportunity gap. Does that make sense? Everyone's ready to do research? So, we need to assess these opportunities among potential users, people who would benefit from your solution. So you need these numbers to help you estimate the size of your opportunity, to make sure that your solution is credible, that whatever you're proposing as a solution will adequately fulfill that for the people you're proposing it to, but also that it makes sense for that demographic, for the people in which you're proposing the solution to. And you can only do that with data. You need to talk to people who experience the problem. You need to talk to people who are naive to the problem to see if you can convince them that they have this pain that you need to then alleviate or turn into a gain. So you need to help them to assess the scale of your idea. How much of a solution is it for their particular problem? Does it completely make it better? Does it make it somewhat better? Is it worth their time? Are they interested in having that problem solved? Right? So how big is your opportunity? How big can it become? Do you need to stay relatively small to make sure that what you're producing matches with the demand for it? Does your opportunity have only a limited scope and so you need to maintain within that scope? Or could it be enormous? Right? So these are the founders of Fresh Beats. And so they're helping to cater healthy food. Right? There's an enormous market for them to be able to do this, but they have to make sure that they scale in an appropriate way, that they're fulfilling that need for people who are interested in it. They need to be able to show them that there's a problem, that the food they eat may be unhealthy, and then fulfill their problem with healthy food. So we also need to determine the first customers or users. You may have an enormous potential market for you to interact with, but you first have to give your solution to some people to show that it works. You're going to need some initial market. So you need to identify your first customers before you start planning for your millionth customer. What should this look like? Once you've figured out who your customers are, you know the opportunity, you have an idea of the market, how do you convince people to give you resources to fill this opportunity gap? The best way for you to do this when you show this to judges, when you show this to people, is to give them something that they can easily analyze and easily work through. You need to have numbers. Numbers speak volumes. You tell them exactly how many, and you tell them in a way that they can visually and easily absorb. Right? An enormous chart full of tons of numbers is difficult to absorb, but if you take this information and you compress it into an easy format for them to understand and analyze, then they'll quickly take that up and they can go back to listening to you, tell them about the problem and the opportunity that you provide to solve that problem. Right? So if we're doing something with, let's say, cell phones, we can easily show the distribution of people who are using cell phones at each age, and then we can also see the relative use of cell phones versus tablets. That way we can easily assess how big the market is potentially for people who may want something like a phone that is more durable, that they can repair and reuse, as opposed to buying new phones all the time. We can easily see here that there are tons and tons of people using phones, but we know that the market for phones isn't going to be for people age 65 plus because only 2% of them are using these phones. They're only 2% of your market. So you don't want to market your reusable phone to them necessarily. You want to go for the bigger portions of that. And that becomes readily apparent to the judges when you show them this data. They see the opportunity as you tell them about the opportunity so that you're on the same page. They can easily understand your opportunity gap. They can understand what you're trying to fulfill. So here's a great example of that. This is WordPro, a previous DifferenceMaker. And so it's a digital flashcard that will teach high school students in South Africa a second language. They told you where the research came from in short, quick bullet points, and then they give you this nice chart here to show you that people learning an additional language such as English, that there's 540,000 students grades 8 to 11 that are trying to learn English as a second language in their target group. And that 93% of them have a mobile device. So that means they have 93% of 540,000 students that potentially could use their app to help them learn English as a second language. Right? That shows the opportunity that they have with their app, and we know that 20% of grade 12 students score less than 40% on their English proficiency exam. So there is a need for that. That is the problem. Scores are low in learning English. We know that there's an enormous market for students who have phones that could use that device. That is their opportunity, and then their solution will be the app. Does that make sense to everyone? So now we know that we need to compare the product or the solution that we're considering, compare our opportunity to the opportunities of our competitors. So we have these opportunities. We need to know who else saw this opportunity and then what they did to fulfill this opportunity. How did they alleviate that pain? How did they turn a pain into a gain? So who is doing something similar? And how are they addressing this? Are they doing the same thing as you? Because that's going to be very difficult if you have a direct competitor. Are they doing something slightly different? How is your opportunity that you're providing different from their opportunity? Right? How big is their market share already? How much of your market is left for you to take advantage of? How much solution can you implement? And then how effective is their current solution? Do you offer an opportunity for your potential customers or for the people who would benefit from this, from your solution, in a way that is different from your competitors? Can you alleviate their pain or turn it into a gain better than your competitor's product? And then how can your current solution be improved upon or changed, right? How can you take a solution that exists and make it more efficient, make it more widely available? How can you better fulfill that opportunity? How can you better work a solution into it? And so then how is your solution different from your competitors? And I think a great example of this is if I go to Amazon and I type in iPhone cover, I get over 50,000 results. So if your problem was that phones are breaking and that you wanted to sell them a phone cover to keep their phones from breaking, how much of that market do you think is available to you that you could differentiate your competitors? Not a whole lot. You have 50,000 competitors in that field, so you had better have something unique that fulfills that opportunity, that takes away their pain, that gives them a gain better than 50,000 other things have done before. Right? You need to either have something unique or you need to have something better that will fulfill that, that will allow you to fill that opportunity. So here's some more examples of this. So the happy heart card. So people have hospitalized loved ones, and when you're hospitalized, there's not a lot to do, right? You're not exactly allowed to get up and run around. And so 90% of these people experience boredom. It's a succinct, very quickly addressed number there. It gives them an idea what the problem is, right? Not even a sentence, just a sentence fragment. And so where's the opportunity? Well, these people are bored, but you want to stimulate them. It'll help them, it'll give them things to do while they're hospitalized. And so you have have this happy heart cart that then travels around, and it gives them an opportunity to be stimulated, to not be bored, to be entertained. And so they identified a problem, they identified the opportunity and how big it was, because 90% of these people are getting bored, and there's 80 hospitals in Massachusetts. And then they had a solution that fills that opportunity gap, and that is the happy heart cart. Let's see another one. So the Marcella dentures example, right? And so this is for affordable 3D printed dentures. What is the problem? The problem is that people need dentures. Your teeth don't last forever, right? Especially if teeth can't be maintained. And so currently, if you need dentures, you have to have thousands of dollars to afford these dentures. So there is a problem of people needing dentures. There's already a current market for making dentures, but these dentures are expensive. And so there's an opportunity to provide dentures for people who need them at a lower cost or for free, so that these people can get the quality of life improvement that could be had. So there's 35 million people that need these. And so not having these will lead to further difficulties down the road. So providing these affordable dentures gives these people, it alleviates their pain of not having an effective way to masticate or chew, and it provides them with a way to have a more richer, fulfilling life. They identified a problem. People with low income who need dentures, they saw the opportunity there to provide for these people, to take away this pain, to turn it into a gain by providing them dentures. And then they pitch this to people. It's very easy to understand the problem. It's very easy to see the opportunity gap and then to understand their solution. All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get back into teams. You're going to take a look at the problem that you've already described to us, and you're going to develop a picture of your competition. So if you're going to be developing this solution, it may be a product, it may be a service, it may be just a community organization. And you're going to provide us a sense of who your competitors are, and then provide us a sense of their relative, their size, right? So what are you already going to be competing in? And then how are you going to differentiate yourself from the competitors? And that's going to be important because Dr. Shortland's going to talk about that with us in just a minute. The importance of your competitive differentiator, your value proposition. So take a minute, identify your competitor, and then identify how your opportunity is going to be different or better than your competitor. Do you have a niche, or do you have a better, superior product, a better solution?
You'd have to bring Gary on.
Yeah, so it's something to look at too, to make sure that you don't end up in a market where other people are going to sue you out of existence. So it's a competition thing that's unfortunate, but you should definitely get the guy and make sure you don't end up in the same boat. It sounds like you're up to a great start. It's terrifying that you're all consolidated. All right. Looks like you've already got a pretty good plan.
Competitors is both the media and educational facilities, because the media, such as CNN and Fox, are spreading the news, and so they are the #1 source for news or information. And then educational facilities provide more accurate or factually based knowledge in general. So trying to combine them both in a quick and easy way. So we're not only are we lowering the cost of that proper education through like educational facilities, but we're also giving a non-biased approach and just a factually based approach compared to these more widespread media agencies. So combining the two is what we're going to provide and be able to counter our competition.
Right? He identified competitors, he saw his opportunity, even though there are competitors in the field, of how he could differentiate it, how he could provide an opportunity, a gain to the people that he's going to market this to that would benefit them, right? They want factual-based news. He is going to provide factual-based news that they do not get from his news competitors. He has a very specific opportunity that he has identified. All right, one more group. Who else wants to go? Hold it above you. The enthusiasm, the enthusiasm. That's what I'm here for. Right, so tripods are expensive, so.
Alright, so basically, haven't done a competitive analysis before this. A lot of it was kind of in my head, but I kind of came to a conclusion that My overall competitors as a mental health advocate are probably mostly mental health addiction services, treatment centers, life coaches, pharmaceutical companies, motivational speakers, and of course, other advocates. It made me realize that they're all pretty much going to the 40% of people that do get treatment, but the fact that there's 60% that don't shows a potential market gap that I might be able to target. See how I can do that, right?
Yeah. So there's an enormous opportunity there, right? You found an opportunity that isn't being used by his competitors, and so now he just needs to find a way to contact the people in that market segment. A round of applause. One more, and then we'll finish up. Assessing opportunities. Right? No, right? There is an opportunity here for me to serve a purpose of holding this whiteboard. I am the solution to.
All right, so I've identified 3 major competitors to what I'm aiming to do, and those include Google, Apple, and Outlook, all of which are able to sync calendars from different platforms, but there are some cons to each of them. For example, with Google, you can only set like 1 reminder for an event. Apple, you have to like buy into the service by purchasing an Apple device, which not everyone has. And then with Outlook, it's not only a paid service, but it kind of has like the same cons as Google, where it only has like 1 reminder per event, etc. And then I have one that is most similar to what I'm aiming to do, which is called 24Me. It has task lists combined with a calendar. So it has those as well as like weather notifications for a bonus. However, I've noticed that there is no way to incentivize completing these tasks, so there's not as much motivation. And there's like no way to provide tips for improving productivity. And then overall, it costs money to unlock all of the features that the app has to offer. So those are my main competitors.
All right. She's clearly identified the market and then isolated an area where she potentially could intervene. So she has a clear idea of how her product needs to function in order to either provide more gain to the people who will use it or to show that she is different from the competitors. All right, we can do more of these later if we have time. So, just to recap, you need to make sure you talk to the people that are affected by your problem. You need to make sure that you have an idea as to exactly what their problem is and have a way to explain the opportunity to either reduce the pain of the problem or to turn it into a gain. Do surveys, do questionnaires, look at previous research on the matter. You need to talk to people who will implement your solution. An idea is great, but you need to make sure that whatever you're going to do to implement it, that you've discussed it with the type of people that you'll utilize to implement that solution. I would like to go to the moon, but my car doesn't let me do that. No matter how much I talk to the people who make my car, they will not get me to the moon. I clearly don't drive a Tesla. Right? That's just a giveaway, right? But that's not a useful vehicle for me to achieve the solution that I want of getting to the moon. Right? So I needed to talk to the people who made my car to understand that I had this idea that does not work in the way I thought. There is an opportunity gap there that I cannot fulfill via the method that I thought was there. So, a great way for you to do that is to take a look at the DifferenceMaker faculty at the link here, and then see what faculty are in the area that you're interested in so you can discuss this with someone who has a lot of knowledge on the research, how to access the research, and the resources that may be available on campus. So that's a great way to get an idea if your current opportunity and the way that you're thinking of fulfilling it is a feasible solution. They can also help you get in touch with the rest of the difference makers to see if there are outside resources at the university or beyond that we have connections to that can help you to discuss your potential opportunity gap and see if your solution will work. There's also library databases. You can contact the librarians and they will direct you to the specific database. There are social science databases like EBSCO. There are biomedical databases like PubMed. There are going to be engineering databases. There will be, there's something called JOE with the Journal of Visual Experiments, where you can watch people do experiments and potentially use the resources that you want to use in order to achieve the solution. So the library is a great place to learn about general resources or research on your potential problem and its opportunities that are there. So, you've already defined your problem, you told us what it was, you told us who was affected by it by doing research. You're telling us how they're affected by the problem, and that allows you to figure out a way to solve the problem. It allows you to identify the opportunity that exists there to give them a solution to this problem. You need to figure out how that solution will be delivered and how it's going to be different from the competitors, or how it's going to be better than your competitors. So how are you going to be able to improve, to take their pain and reduce it, or to turn it into a gain? And that is everything I have to say about opportunity. So if you have questions about that, I'd be happy to address them. And if not, Dr. Shortland is going to tell you about the value proposition. So we're going to move on from the opportunity to how you can show them the value proposition. Let's give them a round of applause.
Hello everybody, how are we doing? Good? Yeah, all right, okay, good. Okay, so, there can be, everyone has a problem, right? There's 1,000 problems, and everyone has a very legitimate problem, and everyone has a very legitimate opportunity, because, mine's loud, I'm loud. Right, everyone has a legitimate opportunity, right? But the problem is that this is a zero-sum game, and this is a zero-sum world, which means in every area, you are competing against people. There are more opportunities and ideas than there are money, than there are resources, than there are customers, than there is time. So you have to find a way to make yourself not just stand out, but for people to choose you over something else. Now, there is almost no exception to that. And sometimes your products are direct competition. Phone, indestructible phone. Right. Amen, indestructible phone, right? It's brilliant. But you already know you're competing against Apple, you're competing against Android, you're directly competing against other phones. Now, even if we take it and we look at one of the projects, so was your project about kind of helping people with ambulances? Give or take, okay. I'm very close with that one. But no, our community ones here, right? You still have to convince people to invest in your community idea, in your initiative over others. So even if you're selling a service or kind of an initiative, you still have to differentiate yourself. You still have to find a way to make you matter. Now that is phenomenally fragile, because as humans, we like to not do anything, and we like the status quo. And what you're trying to do is create change in these people. You want them to actually give you their money above other people, or you want them to invest in your product or your initiative, help your social problem rather than someone else's. A lot of us are asking for the most precious resource, which is people's time. You are asking for just simply their time, and that is actually a lot harder than you get. So you can still have an idea, you can still have an opportunity, you can have a fantastic tool, technique, whatever it is, but selling it to them in a way that matters and resonates, that's often harder. So I want to start this by, I think, identifying some of the problems that we need to avoid. So I would like you to think for a minute, just think, don't write anything down. Think about a time when you have looked at a company or a product or something and decided not to use it. So someone said, oh, have you thought about this? And you say, oh, that's cool, check it out, Google it, whatever, look at the website, but then, for whatever reason, you just don't use it. So think about that time when the company has failed you. And we start, I've got a pen, you can write some stuff down. You think about that. Right. No, think about that. There you go. Okay, has anybody got any good examples? Yes, Steve.
Adobe.
Okay, why don't you use Adobe?
Because their products are too expensive.
Too expensive, okay, so the main one there, cost. However, just out of curiosity, what does Adobe offer you?
Anything from design to video editing to Photoshop.
Okay, so there, they've got an opportunity, they've got a problem, but for you, the cost is too high. Okay, so it's not so much the cost as it is the cost-service ratio. And in your calculus, that's not right. Okay? Excellent. Absolutely excellent. What else? Yes, what do you think?
Like that thing that goes on your iPhone that lets you hold it. It's like, I forget what it's called.
Oh, this thing?
What's it called? Pop socket. Pop socket.
All right. Why don't you use it?
I feel like I don't need it. Like, I don't need to hold my phone in a specific way to take a picture, or I can already hold my phone.
Okay.
So literally yours is just a complete lack of use.
Yeah.
So it's not relevant. And this is something that's interesting because cells have to resonate. And I think that's more important than anything, is what you're selling, that need, has to resonate. So can I call on you, right? You're the TAP, yeah? So it's this idea of matching people to people in their class so that they can learn together and share knowledge together. You're already asking quite a lot of them anyway. But to even get them to think about you, to even make that calculus, that idea has to resonate with them. So it has to make sense to them that this is a problem that they're dealing with. You clearly don't have a problem holding a mobile phone, so you don't need anything that helps you do it. What else? What else puts you off? Or has stopped you, or has made you question using a product, a tool, a company, an initiative, anything? Yes, no, what do you think?
Spam.
Spam? So what do you mean by spam? Like you think it's spam, or?
That's what like just people are asking about, hey, check out my new product, check out this, check out that. Like, or another thing is getting fooled by pyramid schemes.
As in a Ponzi scheme? Or a pyramid scheme where you're at the bottom and you contribute to everyone on the top?
Yeah, pretty much like the other marketing scheme.
Okay. Now, at first contact, what is it about that puts you off? So is it just the feeling you get about the brand? Because I think I'm with you on that like when things feel spammy, or better yet, when things feel impersonal, I move away from them because I feel like they're just targeting everyone and there's no personal connection. There was one more hand, sir. Do you have a hand up? No, actually, I was pointing at you. You didn't have a hand up. You did.
Yeah, something like 4 reviews.
Okay. So you do a little bit of research and it has poor reviews. What else? What's a big one? Yes, mate. What do you think?
When a company's website has a poor UI, it's unnavigatable.
So
Whenever a company's website has a poor UI.
yes. Sorry, I didn't actually know what UI is. That user interface?
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell I'm a South Campus guy. Please don't use big tech words. User face. No, that's one for me. Poor user face. It just gives you this feeling of amateurism, right? It's the idea of feel. Yes, what do you think, sir?
Red box, it's not convenient.
So just the process of it is inconvenient. Now that's an interesting one for, where's our vegan restaurants? Vegan restaurant, right? You're asking people there to add another step to the process, or to move away from very, very streamlined processes. So you have to think there about how many more steps is that? There's 100 good ideas that I refuse to do because it's one more step in the chain. So there's this idea of user interface, usability, and that can put you off. I think there's one more that no one's come across, but does anyone have any more? What do you think, mate?
The pitch.
The
Sometimes
pitch.
people's pitches are so cliche, it's just, I hear it like, oh, heard that one before. Moving on. So I think a good business plan or business model, like when you hear it and they're using cliche words, it's just stuff.
So I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing one, an inability to differentiate. So selling something that isn't as new as they think it is. Or the other one is not like
It's not really the product, it's how they sell the product. It just sounds so cliche, like
it's like they don't believe it.
talk this way.
Yeah, it's like they don't
put it out
believe
that
yeah.
way, it just
I'm going to put insincerity again. There you go. That looks like insincerity. It's actually just 3 squiggles. The other one for me, this is one of the personal ones for me, is uncertainty. So when they're asking something of me, or they're selling me a product or process or tool, and there's gaps there in my knowledge. As soon as I see a gap in my knowledge, I'm done. Like if there's a question mark about anything, I'm done. Because the other option is to invest in trying to find out the answer, and that's too much work for me. Because think about it. Think how many people are trying to buy or own your time. And as you get older and actually get jobs, think how many people are trying to take your money. It's a lot. It's a lot. So as soon as there's an added little step in there, I'm completely done. I mean, I'm completely done. Now, so I'm just going to put that in there, just uncertainty. Because as soon as people have to ask questions about, well, what does this mean, what does this do, what actually happens here, what happens to this, you've already kind of lost them at that point, or at least it's an uphill battle. Let's now flip that round to, oh, I'm not wiping that ball out, that ball's terrible. Just get another one. This one, they've got the wheels. Great product. There we go. Let's go on the other side. What are the traits or qualities of companies that you have chosen to go with? Company, product, anything? Yes, hello there.
Clarity.
Clarity, yeah.
Yeah.
Clarity. Okay, what else? Yes, sir. Reliable. Now, how do you know, just out of curiosity, how do you know about reliability?
Well, usually it's either from past use or just people telling me, like, or just say, like, someone passing it down to me. So say, like, a tool or say a website type of thing that I always use. It's always reliable.
Alright. How are we going to build reliability with a new product to market? This is an honest question. How do you think we can overcome that issue? I guess we could give reassurances, maybe? Some kind of warranty? I don't know. What's your product?
Mine is actually it's focusing on more scarcity. We're trying to find some.
Alright, okay. We'll work on that one. What do you do, mate?
Let's say about transparency. I think that's a very important thing. Make sure people are managed.
Absolutely. Transparency is a great one. What else? Yes, sir.
Customer service.
Customer service. Okay. Yes, sir.
Spend money if I know it's going towards a good cause.
That's a very good one. That's a very good one. So there's almost an idea of kind of morality in that. You know, kind of like companies sometimes that don't compete on price compete by adding in this idea that they have kind of moral virtue in that you're helping people with the you buy one, we give one, Toms, Bombers, socks, Warby Park, all this kind of stuff. Yes, sir.
I would say relatability, if I can relate to the company.
All right, excellent. Any more? Yes, sir.
It's that looks good.
That's an absolutely good one. Okay. Yes.
Ease of access.
Ease of access. Okay. Any others? Yes, sir.
Good offers for defaults, like the price you put in versus how much you get back.
Opportunity cost, so return on investment, ROI. Yes, yes, sir.
Exclusivity.
I like that one. Big fan of that one. So the feeling that you're one of the only few people who's allowed it or who can get it? All right, I agree with that. Anyone? Yes, sir.
Which then goes upon standardization. The product that's the standard.
Ooh, okay, so that the one that kind of becomes almost the norm.
Well, it becomes, let's say, like you said, exclusive. It becomes dominated because and thus becomes the standard.
Yeah, almost where the product is I can't remember what, I think there is a technical word for it, but where the product becomes a synonym for what it actually is. And somehow I can't actually think of an example of this, but what? Band-aid, clean aid, yeah, like stuff like that, like where it is just the basic. I would go, I don't know why, melatonin? No, melatonin is a drug, not a company. But I assumed it was a company name. Called melatonin. Okay, now, here's the problem, or not the problem, but when people are making decisions about whether or how to invest in you, this is kind of the balance they're going through, isn't it, right? They're weighing all of A versus all of B. I mean, that's basic human psychology, right? Cost, benefit. These are the potential costs. Maybe I don't know about the reliability, uncertainty, whatever it is, or physical, financial costs. And these are the potential benefits. Now, the bigger problem is that as a company, you do not have the opportunity to convince them about all of these. So we somehow have to find a way to argue that this massively outweighs this in a very, very short few sentences. So that's why the value proposition is so important because it is so central to everything, yet you have absolutely no time or space to articulate why it's the best thing there is. Let's go with the most, I think, the most common example, and I think one of the best value propositions I see recently. Who uses Uber?
I drive.
You drive? You actually drive an Uber? Oh, wonderful. Do you drive a lot?
Sometimes, usually Boston.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people suck. A lot of Ubers. I had one who turned up and said, "Can you drive me to the airport?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Cool, good one."
That's what you say. No one.
Okay, but no, why do people use Uber? Yes.
Speed, convenience, simplicity.
Spoken like a true driver.
And speed, low
What
price.
was the middle one?
Convenience.
Convenience, price, simplicity. What else? Safety. Is it that safe? I mean, it literally just got banned from all of London. We deem it unsafe for our wonderfully precious.
Safe alternative from what they made you out like drinking drivers.
Okay, drinking and driving, yes.
A lack of an upfront investment.
Low upfront investment. Privacy, yeah. Okay, what else? Why else do people use Uber? Yes, sir.
Luxury.
Luxury?
Yes.
Drive Uber X deal. Crack that
I mean,
scale well
compared
done.
to riding in the yellow cab.
I don't know, but also there's some pretty shitty Ubers involved, so probably not yours, clearly. What do you think?
It's also accessibility. It's accessible everywhere.
Okay, agreed. Any more? No, there's not 1,000, I'm not even missing any, but yeah, what do you think?
Comfort.
Comfort?
Yeah, because you're sitting in a car versus like public transport where you might have to stand.
Exactly, you don't have to stand outside, you don't have to wait, you don't have to chase it down the road. Yes?
Options, so like you can choose like Uber X, you can choose like Uber Pool, there's different ones.
Options, Uber X, Uber Pool. Yeah, that's like that a little bit.
Get no Uber Eats.
Huh?
Don't get no Uber Eats.
Uber Eats, fine. And in food. Seriously, man, are you getting a permission for all this selling you're doing? Yes?
This kind of plays into safety, but like for like being a girl and like all my roommates, whatever, they go out at night and like they don't want to walk around in the dark. So like, that's like an element of like getting from point A to B in a safe car.
I agree. So it is safety. I do want to add that to safety. But I also see it's an additional aspect to it. It's a very specific but very, very important part of safety.
And like it could be dangerous, but you're like weighing that that is potentially safer than walking alone in the
Yes, yeah.
Don't worry, all Uber drivers undergo criminal background checks.
Excellent. Yes.
I'd say accountability in the fact that both drivers and passengers can rate each other.
Yeah, okay. And also you've got the idea of, I don't know, I think the idea of a social network embedded to it. So now Uber has, 15 benefits, right? There's 15 unique things that come together to make Uber better than a taxi. And when you dig into it and when you know it, it's very, very easy to see what those 15 are. But what Uber does, if anyone has a phone on or a computer, go on uber.com. I legitimately mean this, go on uber.com. You don't know the UI?
The
Technical term.
Uber website is terrible. Like, you can't organize a drive-in there or anything. It's all based.
Oh no, I know. I'm talking about the way they sell themselves, not the way they use it. You can also look at Uber on the App Store if you want, but that first touch point with the customer, which is going to be somehow social media, some website, some app, whatever, right? What bits of themselves do they sell? So if you go on the website, you scroll down, they kind of sell a few things. What do they sell, mate?
Easiest way around.
Okay, so that would be maybe convenience. What else?
Anytime, so like just convenience again.
Convenience, yeah, what else?
And then low cost.
Low cost, so convenience and
Price.
the hell's price? Hold on. Convenience and price, Matt?
On the other side, if you want to work Uber, it says you can earn up to $2,000 for your first 200 trips in Boston, guaranteed.
Price, not bad. What do you think,
We
Matt?
offer a rating system so you know what you're getting.
Okay, so again, you've got convenience, price, and then almost that idea here. We had it on the other side of this, about this idea of kind of reliability, maybe a little bit of trust. What do you think?
Let's say riders also get to estimate the cost of the fare, and they get to see where the driver is.
Okay. So yeah, so what they've done is they've boiled down all of their benefits to the 3 that are most likely to get you to use their product. Not based on a win, but based basically on a target audience analysis, right? So they boiled it down to, we're very, very convenient, and we're very, very cheap. And if that's enough to grab you, then you can go and learn about everything else. Does that make sense to everybody? So the value proposition is basically how you manipulate someone, nicely manipulate, not negatively manipulate.
Like
Sway, persuade, nudge a little bit. But it's the way of communicating your most important selling point, the one that matters most. Because we're all going to have 15, 16, 17, 18 benefits that make us unique, right? But we're only going to have a few that we can really leverage that matter the most and are really going to sell the most. Here's a harder one for you. What is Apple's value statement? What does Apple sell you? What do you think?
The brand name, the recognition of that's a premium product that you have. It's a status.
Is that simple?
Innovation.
Innovation, community. I agree. They can't sell you, because when you think about what you're selling people, it goes 2 ways. You can either sell them functions, right? So the way I do something is better than the way everybody else is doing it. So the way I will get you from A to B is better than the way anyone else will get you from A to B because it's cheaper and it's more convenient. Apple can't do that because their phones, they don't really sell their phones on features. They sell it on this idea of it's the phone, it's the experience, it's the future, it's an Apple, it's what it is. So it doesn't always have to be feature-based. But they are selling you something. There is a value to it. A value proposition is basically the contract between the product and the user. So they know, what do you expect from me? What do you want from me? And what will you give me in return? And if you win that perceived benefit, perceived cost, you will win their support and their investment. Yes, sir?
Could you call that psychological then?
Sure. We've got anything psychological, but it's bigger than that. If you actually look, I'm going to actually get onto a third board, didn't think I would, but if you look at, it's not called the value proposition equation, but it might as well, it's very simple, right? Motivation equals, if anyone's economics, you'll be really impressed by this, social scientist, perceived benefit greater than perceived cost. The key thing, this is very simple for anyone, but the really important thing here is that it's perceived. And that, I think, is the most important part. For both of these things, because if you think about this, right, perceived benefit, perceived cost, the cost of, let's say, using your app, right, I'm not going to pick on it, but let's say using your app, right, the cost is probably very low. It's going to take 2 seconds to download it. It's going to take me 2 seconds to log on. And then I can look and I can find all the restaurants that match my dietary requirements. And then the benefit is huge. But to me, I may perceive that as a huge cost because I'm phenomenally lazy. And I hate downloading things on my phone. So it's not as simple as what is the benefit and what is the cost. And that's one of the problems, is everybody, we don't create ideas, no one in DifferenceMaker creates ideas that are stupid or are not going to work. Because everybody can identify an opportunity, everyone can see a problem, and everyone can make a pretty good solution to it. But the problem is that the way people think about these things is not the same way we think about these things. So the customer doesn't make the calculus we make, because we've studied it, we're passionate about it, we're rational about it. So they are biased, usually biased, that they think the perceived benefit is a little bit lower than it is, and that the perceived cost is usually much, much greater than it is. So they're the barriers that you have to overcome. Basically, the way you do that is your value statement. So it needs to communicate why the benefit of your product is phenomenally great in relation to the cost. Now, how are we doing for time? Tell me, how are we doing for time? 7 what? Okay, 10 minutes. Right, here's what I want you to do. Very, very simple, very, very simple. I want you to write down, like we did for Uber, the benefits of your product. What are those benefits they provide? You can use functions, you can use ideals, you can use whatever. So yours, for example, would be peace of mind. That's technically a benefit, right? I don't have to worry about smashing my phone. Peace of mind, fine. But also there's tech habits, right? So that fixability, that cost, whatever, right? But then, I want you to identify the 3 that matter. So what are the 3 that are going to get either customers to buy it or people to give you money instead of someone else? That makes sense? Everyone good with that? I will traverse the room, as will Brent. But basically, I want you to build, where is it? Here. Right. So, I want you to build a script, I'll get it up in a minute, but basically, complete this sentence. We sell A, or we do A, or we are A, so we are a company that does this. So we are X who do Y, right? Our customer is Z, right? Yeah, our customer is Z with this problem. And this, why have I turned this display off? Let's turn it back on. That was just absolutely. There we go. Right, basically, complete this sentence. So we sell A to B, so we sell product to customer. Our customer has problem C. We solve problem with D. So that's where your value is. So that's what you learned earlier. What you do, this is the problem statement we identified earlier, and then add the values at the end of it. Does that make sense to everybody? So in theory, everybody should have one sentence that explains it as close to everything as possible. Try and get it down. Hope it makes sense. Let's go. As in, like, let's go, like, do it now, and then we'll read them all out. Not let's leave that in. Let's go.
I would want to put all my eggs in one basket and one understand. So I want to.
Sentence. Holly, come on, please. I'm speaking. I'm joking. Right. So in one sentence, can you explain everything? No uncertainty, no questions. Can we get it? Can we see the problem? Can we see what you add? It's a huge ask, but I think we can do it. So we'll go this way. After you, sir. Harry.
Alright, so basically we sell niche products to people with mental health issues, and we sell advertising opportunities to those niche businesses. Niche products include affiliate products and, of course, my book. So our customer has a problem, and it is the mental health stigma, lack of awareness and availability to help, and the financial constraints holding them back. And our B2B customers have a problem, and it is a need for more leads, prospects, customers, and of course sales, awareness, clients, patients, etc. So we solve that problem by creating an interpersonal experience to sort of keep things simple and at little to no cost to the ones who struggle and put the financial burden on the businesses that can afford it, right?
All right. Drop the next bit because they're the ones who might pay for the advertising. But I don't know. Sit down.
I have one computer science major.
Yes.
All right, so we sell this comprehensive planning app to adults who struggle with ADD and ADHD and/or time management. Our customer has a problem with staying focused and motivated on completing tasks. Our product helps them by providing a comprehensive time managing application with tracking, encouragement, and a competition element to keep them motivated.
Thanks very much.
So we make the lousy spot for half the world's population. The customer has a problem and it's no water. We solve this problem by condensing water vapor. Morally, naturally, and costlessly.
I like it a lot. Well done.
So our product is more focused on providing dietary needs for people with cultural diets, people with allergies, as well as people who have other medical issues. So we like to think that we're empowering people with dietary needs, because our customers, like everyone else who has a social life, want to go out and eat. So we solve this problem with a one-time registration on an application that will immediately access them to restaurants that meets their needs.
Okay. So, we will sell temporary bandages to governments of developing countries and NGOs such as the Red Cross and WHO for injured people who must wait long periods of time for medical attention. And due to the exposure of bacteria, this increases their chance of infection and may cause death. These bandages are a layer of protection while they wait, and it saves the organizations money by them not needing to use as many medications or antibiotics that are more costly than our bandage.
Just have one more.
Alright.
Blank company name will deliver the most inexpensive, fully accommodated trips paired with an enjoyable buying experience.
I hope you feel that you have more clarity and are better positioned to just explain what it is you're doing and why it matters in 2 sentences. Because most good companies, most good pitches get lost in too many words, too many links, too much uncertainty. Make it quick, make it short, make it snappy. You're going to have you decrease the barriers by saying less sometimes. So well done, I really enjoyed tonight. Have a good evening.